Through my career, I worked across multiple brands. I mean, for about 15 years, I worked on the Tata Motors business, the Tata Indica, Tata Indigo campaign. Then I worked on a brand of soap called Santur. I worked on Sunfeast. I worked on Sundrop, which is a cooking oil business. Brand is a name with a story.
The topic that top on everyone's mind, how has AI impacted marketing?
So that calls for a sip of water.
Hi, this is Amrit. We are at IIT Madras, my alma mater, and India's top university for people who like to build. We are here to meet some builders, ask them what are you building, what does it take to build, and what makes IIT Madras the best place to build.
Okay, welcome to the Best Place to Build podcast. This is the second season, first episode. We have a great episode lined up. We are sitting with Ambi Parameswaran, marketing guru. I want to say that I wanted to sit down with you and chat with you from the first time we met on a call, I think maybe 4 or 5 years back. Yeah. And I think the topic of discussion on that call was perception for IIT Madras itself and whether IIT Madras should or what they could do about it. Welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you. Thank you, Amritash, for inviting me on the podcast, and it's wonderful that we are recording it at this venue with the Sangam event.
Yeah, so we are recording today. It's a departure for us. We normally record at the Center for Innovation. Today we are recording at the Taj in Bangalore at IIT Madras Alumni Association's annual flagship event, Sangam. IIT Madras Alumni Association is one of the most powerful alumni associations of the country. And Sangam attracts people from all classes and all walks of life. I can see on the schedule there is Chris Gopalkrishnan, Srinivasan and Somnath, a lot of startup people, a lot of VCs, a lot of professors are speaking, Professor Kama, Professor Mohan, Professor Ravindran, who by the way have also come to the podcast. So really exciting. And I know you are speaking tomorrow for your new book. Yeah, grateful that Sangam is allowing us to do this. We are actually here before the event starts. Right, the event starts in 2 hours and about 1,000 people are expected. So,
wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's very tough to organize these events and get audience, and I think IIT Madras Alumni Association done a great job. You know, having this like clockwork every year.
Yeah,
I think 3 years ago I did a workshop on brand. Basics of branding at one of the events, I think Chennai Sangam 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So I know where I want to start. You are a distinguished alumnus of IIT Madras. And if I look at the list of distinguished alumnus, you're probably the only person who's from a marketing advertising background. Very curious to know, are there any other IITM alumnus who made it big in this field?
Oh, well, I think definitely there are. Right, the two of my friends are in that list. There is, of course, Bhaskar Bhatt, who is a former CEO of Titan, who cut his teeth in marketing and then went on to become CEO of the company. The other person who got distinguished alumnus about 4 years ago is Anand Kripalu. Again, Anand Kripalu is an IIT Madras. I am Calcutta alumnus like me. Cut his teeth in Unilever and then went on to become the CEO of Mondelez and then Diageo, and then now he's a CEO of EPL. So he's again largely a marketing guy. So I can think of 3. I'm sure there are many more. I mean, they might have got the distinguished alumnus when they have the chapa of a CEO or MD, but many of them have actually traveled the marketing route, and gone up the hierarchy. So I can think of 2. I'm sure there are many more.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Can I ask, how do you, so just to give the audience a context, you were leading FCB Ulka for, I think, a decade and a half, maybe. One of India's top advertising firms, lots of brands that you have worked on and your team has worked on. You've won multiple awards, you've written multiple books, you've also taught at B School. So really, guru is the word, right?
No, guru is too much of a word, but veteran is a more neutral word.
Veteran. Okay. I do occasionally open the newspaper in the morning and see your name against a column also. How did your career evolve after IIM?
You know, it was actually serendipity which got me into advertising. You know, otherwise IIT, IIM, why should I be in advertising? So when I was doing my summer, looking for a summer internship, I wanted a summer internship in Kolkata. So I got, among other things, I got into this little known agency that time called Diffusion. It was started by alumnus from IIM Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad. And I was impressed with what they had to tell me. And I did my summer assignment. It looked like a great place to learn. And then I went back to campus. I kept in touch with them. And then placement season came. Those were the days, 1979. Placement was really after you finish the entire course. So placements used to happen at the end of 2 years. I think around March or April or something like that. And companies are coming and I applied for several companies. But then I got a call from Diffusion. I went for a drink in the evening with Subhash Chakravarti, and after 2 drinks, he said, "What are your plans for your future?" I said, "Look, tomorrow Unilever is coming. They've shortlisted me. Day after Citibank is coming. They've shortlisted me. So, I'll figure out." So he said, "What about advertising?" So I asked him, "Are you offering me a job?" He said, "What if I say yes?" I said, "Yeah, then I'll say yes." So he said, "Okay, done." We shook our hands. I didn't know anything else, right? I didn't know how much he was offering, nothing. I go back to the campus, and my friend was a placement secretary. Said, "You had a good evening?" I said, "Yeah, good evening. I got a job." So he said, "Yeah, but you've been shortlisted by Citibank and you have to appear for the interview." I said, "No, I'm not appearing for the interview." So he said, "No, if you have to recuse yourself from the interview, you have to tell these Rediff guys to send you an offer. Without the offer, you have to appear." So then, those days, Calcutta telephones were a tough thing. Finally, I managed to get through to Subhash. And I tell him, "Look, you better send an offer." So finally, the offer, one paper was faxed by them. Those days, facsimile came, and then I swept that as I'm not sitting for the interview. In fact, Unilever had shortlisted me, and I was one of the top students at IIM Cal. And I had applied to them for summer. I didn't get the summer. And so when my name appeared there, I said, "Look, why is this guy not there?" So then the placement secretary said, "No, he's already got a job." So he said, "How can he get a job? We are the first."
Yeah, Unilever always comes.
Yeah, we are the first company here.
Yeah.
Right? So they said, "No, he did a summer with an ad agency and, he joined there." So they were very surprised, that I didn't appear for the interview with Unilever and I've taken a job. But so be it. I joined advertising. I spent 3 years. So people ask me, how come, even my friends ask me, how come IIT, I am going to join. So one thing is those days, I'm talking of 78, 79, a lot of agencies were hiring from IIMs. So IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, agencies like Lintas and JWT were hiring from them. So I was not the first of the IIMs to join advertising, but I think I was the first of the IIT IIM to join. Now there are quite a few who've been in advertising, both IIT IIM, but I was one of the early IIT IIM guys to join advertising. But it was I was in advertising for 3 years, then I moved out, went into marketing for almost 7 years, 8 years I was in marketing. And then the advertising bug bit me again, and I went back to join again an agency called Ulka, which was not doing too well. 5 of us joined the agency, turned it around, and then sold it to a multinational. So that was a long innings, 26, 27 years I was at Ulka, which became FCB Ulka. Yeah.
Nice. I'm curious to know what were some of the most favorite campaigns that you would. The one I know is the more car per car campaign, the Indica launch. I think that was 98. But I'm curious, am I getting it wrong?
Yeah, you're right. You're perfect. Your memory is great. Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us what were your favorite campaigns.
So through my career, I worked across multiple brands. For about 15 years, I worked on the Tata Motors business. We'll talk about it in detail later.
Okay.
The Tata Indica, Tata Indigo campaign. Then I worked on a brand of soap called Santur, which again was a long-running campaign I did. I worked on Sunfeast, which is a cookie business based in Bangalore. I worked on Sundrop, which is a cooking oil business. I worked on ZTV, I worked on TCS, Tata Salt, uh, multiple businesses across.
TCS sounds a little different from the rest.
Well, TCS.
It's not like a consumer brand.
Yeah, I worked on several B2B brands, right?
Okay.
So not just TCS, but several other B2B brands. So TCS, we did the IPO campaign when they did IPO, and then we did a corporate campaign for them, which was this whole thing about experience certainty. The whole campaign, we in fact did video, we did print advertising in Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times. So that was, I think, a year after the IPO, I think.
Okay. Because our audience is mostly a tech audience, so maybe we should start from the basics and build out. From a very first principles, rather the bottom layer question to an outsider, how would you define marketing, advertising? What do these terms mean?
We can do an entire podcast on that, So what is marketing?
And what is branding?
And what is branding and what is advertising? So I think Peter Drucker said this, right? The only purpose of an organization is to find and retain a customer. So marketing's number one job is to find a customer and satisfy the customer's need, right? That's the primary job of marketing. And then, of course, all the other elements come in, whether it is product, pricing, promotion, all that plays. But first is to find a customer and satisfy their need. That is a job of marketing. And Peter and Philip Kotler said, branding is marketing. If you take out branding, there is no marketing. So branding gives the ability for a company to charge a premium to build loyalty with customers. And there are multiple definitions of branding. There is the American Marketing Association. Brand is a name, logo, which distinguishes one product from another product, etc., etc. But in simple terms, brand is a name with a story. So a name telling a story is a brand. And that's what we do in marketing, which is build brands, put stories into them. So when I say Santur, when I say Lux, or when I say TCS, when I say Wipro, it tells a story to the listener. So that's the job of marketing, to build brands, and those brands then start having meaning for customers so that they like their brands, they become loyal to brands. So this is what we do in marketing, right? The core is not your product. Core is not your app. Core is the customer. Who is the customer? Do we know this customer? Do we understand the customer's needs? Are we satisfying them? Are we giving them value? If you do that, the customer will keep coming, right? And customer will stay with you. So that's the job of marketing. Done in, I've explained it in 3 minutes for you. Okay.
I'm wondering, from an engineering background, somebody will come back and say that that's the job of product teams to, understand the customer and build the product for the customer. Ian, coming from a tech side of things, a lot of tech companies nowadays say marketing is not needed. We'll just build a great product. And global brands like Tesla, for example, doesn't spend that much on. I don't know whether they actually do, but they claim. How does this sit in with this idea?
So, there is this old story that if I build a better mousetrap, the world will come knocking on my door, right? That doesn't happen. The world has got 100 other things to do. So if you don't go and tell them that you built a better mousetrap, no one is going to come. So even brands like, say, Apple or Tesla, who don't do ostensibly classical advertising, they handle media brilliantly well, right? For example, 5-6 years ago, going with a friend of mine in California, and suddenly he said, that's a Tesla, right? Because the car looked distinctive. Right? Tesla's look was its advertising, right? Apple over-invested in their showrooms. So you walk into an Apple showroom, you get mesmerized, right? So they, all that is marketing. The normal mistake we make is marketing is only advertising you see on your mobile phone or your TV, but all that is marketing. Showroom is marketing, right? The Tesla showrooms are different, right? Tesla looks different. right? And therefore, that is marketing. That works to build your brand. So, who says branding and advertising is only one type? It can be multiple types today. So they were very smart, and Tesla used media in a brilliant way through PR, right? The whole thing about building Elon Musk into whatever he is or whatever he's not, right? All this is part of the marketing game.
Sure, we would call it founder-led marketing.
What founder?
Founder-led marketing.
Founder-led marketing. I mean, Steve Jobs wrote the playbook for that.
Yeah.
Right? So
maybe it's better to say that what Tesla doesn't do is maybe spend money on performance or spend money on print ads. And that is probably what they mean when they say that we don't do marketing.
exactly. So Tesla may say we don't do the classical TV advertising, the print advertising, but they do everything else. They do media relations. They do their showrooms are very different. Blah blah blah. So that's all part of marketing.
Right. I also sort of, because we spoke about branding, and now in the last 10 years, there's this term called performance marketing, right? Which is digital ads. And I think that has changed the way marketing teams work. I would love to understand your view on how brands have evolved along with the evolution of performance marketing.
See, this whole thing about performance marketing, brand marketing is today highly discussed, right? But it's not as if performance marketing did not exist in the past. We used to call it direct marketing,
Okay.
where you put in an ad, the customer is supposed to call a number, right? And I remember we handled Dell, Dell's advertising campaign for some years. Dell used to run these print ads, in newspapers, and there was a phone number which used to come at the bottom, very nice and prominent. Dell globally had worked out a system that this phone number changes with every ad, every newspaper, every edition. So when the phone rings, they know based on which number the customer has called, where has the customer seen the ad? Has the customer seen the ad in the Hindu? Or has the customer seen the ad in Economic Times? Where has he seen the ad? So that's performance marketing.
Yeah.
Right? And Dell used to do a hell of a lot of that all over the world. Right? But Dell also used to do a lot of classic brand marketing. Right? So today we need both. I mean, people who do a lot of performance marketing for companies, brands say that, look, after a particular point in time, performance marketing return on investment starts tapering off. Then if you don't do brand marketing, it will keep falling off the cliff, right? So you need to do both in the right proportion. In the good old days, maybe you used to do more on brand marketing. Today you do more of performance marketing, but I call this the yin and yang of marketing. Both have to coexist. One without the other will not work. So I mean, you can build a brand up to a particular point of time with performance marketing alone, which is buy one get one free, or this free offer for 7 days, blah 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 blah. But after a point in time, you got to make the customer feel happy why they bought the product, right? That can be done only with brand marketing. So you need both.
Sure. Up to a point, you can probably just play around on price and feature, and after that, you have to add the story layer and the value layer.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's interesting that you say that this direct marketing example that you gave. I'm also thinking, as you say, that Dell could do it because it's Dell and it's a large company. Maybe smaller companies didn't have that kind of muscle to do a traffic sourcing direct marketing, and now it's available to almost everyone.
Yeah, true. I mean, even those days, even when companies used to run those coupon ads, right? The little coupon used to come in the print ad, you used to cut and send the coupon. The company used to put a code in the coupon.
Okay.
So when the coupon comes back, I know this ad appeared in this paper, or I know this ad appeared in this magazine. So I can correlate and I can figure out what worked better.
Okay, so we spoke about what does marketing mean in general, and what does branding mean. So the second layer of the question, which I get asked all the time, and maybe you've already answered it, but let's just talk about it a little more. Do great products need marketing at all?
No, I think they do. I think, just because you built a great product doesn't mean the world is going to know about it. There's an old saying that a lousy product dies a very rapid death with a lot of marketing. A good product, therefore, without good marketing takes a long time to catch on. So what is marketing going to do? Marketing is going to therefore speed up the adoption curve, right? Innovators will anyway find out of the product and use it. The early adopters may come, but then the early majority will come only with sufficient amount of marketing.
Sure.
And without that, you're not going to, the classical, crossing the chasm will not happen if you don't do marketing. Now, marketing doesn't necessarily mean you need to take ads on ZTV or whatever, right? Marketing could be multiple. Could be getting, user endorsement stories, sharing stories, do a lot of content marketing. All that is marketing today, right? So it can be anything. But in order to cross the chasm, you will have to do marketing, right? So that's a given. I don't think.
I think people get, maybe they get misled by one or two success stories where they didn't need marketing. ChatGPT, for example, just exploded, right?
Oh yeah, ChatGPT exploded, but it went, it was different, and there was I would say the ecosystem was building up for it, right? And then everyone knew something or something, and then they used PR very brilliantly.
Yeah, they did.
And PR is marketing. Right? All over the world, it was suddenly opened. It did a big PR, and who knows? They must have done heavy duty PR with the so-called opinion leaders, the influencers, right? If you get 20 influencers to talk about your product, you're done. And today the influencers ask you for money, so you have to pay them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that, right? I mean, ChatGPT done. It's wrong to say ChatGPT did no marketing.
Maybe I feel, as you're saying it, I feel like maybe in the first month when they were growing, their activity on marketing was pretty low. But immediately after, it was quite heavy. Like as you're saying, the PR was phenomenal.
I mean, it was there in every paper, right? Doesn't happen on its own. They must have pushed it very hard, right? They must have got the so-called the most influential podcasters like you to talk about it, right? And it caught on after that.
Interesting. On that vein, again, a question that we get very often is, how is a B2B marketing different from B2C? Like consumer goods, I think it's very easy to understand that a Santur soap needs advertising to layer that story around it. In a B2B setting, the assumption is that the buyer, because there's a business buyer, they're very logical and they'll look at a feature set. Why do we need to have to layer a story around?
So, is a myth that, all B2C purchase is emotional and all B2B purchase is rational. So my old colleague, Jonathan Harris, has this nice comment. He says, if you buy a product for purely rational reason, you will never be happy. If you buy a product for purely emotional reason, you'll never be satisfied. Right? So rationality, emotionality, same. So in a B2C setting, it's possible that there is more emotion involved. In B2B, there is more rationality, but these two have to work together, right? I mean, there is this old saying, right? You never got fired for buying IBM.
Yeah.
Why? Because IBM was a recognized brand, right? There was so much trust, so much equity behind IBM that even if their hardware, their computers are not all that great, but the head of IT never got fired for buying IBM. Today, you could say the same thing with, never got fired for implementing SAP, right? Because SAP has that image that it is productivity tool, blah, blah, blah. So same thing. Where is it coming from? Is buying SAP a purely rational reason, or is there some emotion also involved? So there is always, finally.
You're saying that safe decision, or you're buying into the brand, that's a partly emotional.
Mostly emotional. And the other thing is, all B2B decisions, there are multiple people involved, right? There could be a purchase manager, a CEO, could be a CFO. Now, they have their personalities also coming in, right? They have their own personal reasons coming in. So that will be emotional, right? So like we talked about IBM, I may go with a particular vendor because it will make me look good, right? I may go with a particular vendor because I like the way they talk to me, right? Etc. etc. So it's absolutely wrong to say all B2B purchases are purely rational. There is always a strong emotional component in all B2B purchases also. That's my submission. You may not agree.
No, I mean, I'm a marketing person, so I agree with you. Sometimes I think that because a product, actually, let me ask you two other questions and come back to this. From a B2C or a B2B angle, is there a large difference between selling a tech or a deep tech product versus a non-tech product? I mean, the example I've written down here is Indica versus Santur. A modern example would be an Ather versus a sugar-free ice cream.
So, I mean, both Indica and Santur are consumer product. They are B2C products, right?
Yeah, but one is like it feels like a technology purchase.
So, in a sense, I would say Santur was more an emotional sell. Indica was more a rational sell. But Indica cannot sell only on rationality. Right? There was a fair bit of emotion in our marketing of Indica. Right? The fact that, the more car per car made people feel proud, because buying a car is a very emotional decision in India. Right? So there is a lot of emotionality involved. It's incorrect to say that all Indica buyers were very, left brain and they're very rational and they go buy it. No. When Indica was being launched, and I can go on a little bit about
Yeah, actually,
Indica.
that will be great.
Okay, so when it was being launched, in 1998, like you said, no one gave them a chance, right? Everyone thought, how is Tata, who make trucks, going to make a car which is going to compete with Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, and that time Fiat had come, and of course, Daewoo. Where is Tata going to? No one believed it could be done, right? And then Tata then came out with their Indica. They had a major play was on diesel. So the other question was, it'll be diesel engine, it'll be very noisy, it'll drop oil all over the place, it'll be difficult to maintain. But they launched it, right? People said they will not be able to make it. They made it, they launched it. Unfortunately, 6 months later, problems started, right? They had quality issues, tires were getting worn out, there was a belt noise which used to come. But then Mr. Tata had taken it upon himself with, I will have to prove it to the world that we can make a car. So he had given his, marketing team and his production team, saying, go ahead, fix it. So they went, did customer interviews across 30 cities, met 3,000 owners, identified what was the problem, went back to the plant, fixed the problem. And the new car started rolling out. I think it was year 2000. September, the new cars were rolling out. But sales had by then tanked. They had gone to 2,000 cars a month and going down. And at the time, they said, look, what should we do? So we had actually stopped advertising for almost 6-8 months. So we said, we need to send a signal to the market that it's a new Indica. So but they said, no, it's the same Indica. I said, no, we need to send a signal. So the consumer knows something has happened to the Indica without cursing the old Indica.
Sorry, let me just recap. So 98, the Indica was launched. It had a
98, it was pre-launch.
Okay.
99 March, it started rolling out.
And immediately they were launched.
And within 6 months, they started having problems.
Okay.
So then we had no advertising from around late 99 to middle of 2000. And then we said, look, what are we going to do? And finally, Tata said, look, what's your suggestion? So we said, we'll call it Indica V2. So they said, no, this V2, what does it mean? So we said, version 2. So there's no, this is okay for surf. You can say surf, super surf, but in cars, you can't do this. So we said, look, listen to us, it'll work. So trust us. And they had tremendous amount of trust in what we are saying. So we did Indica V2 and sales had gone to 2000. Within literally 3 months, it started climbing up and it went up to 6,000 and Indica became a larger selling car than Wagon R and Swift, and not Swift, Wagoner, Santro, and Daewoo. It overtook those three cars. And that gave Tata Motors the confidence to then create a sedan, which was called Indigo. And that changed the entire direction of the company. And I'm very happy to say that even today, with their new range of electric vehicles, they're among the top three car manufacturers in the country. And I think somewhere the success of Tata Motors gave the confidence to other companies in this space to venture into manufacturing. Like, for example, Mahindra, I'm sure was inspired by the success of Tata. In fact, our sister company worked on the Bolero and the Scorpio and all those brands. So it gave them tremendous confidence, right? So to the extent when Mr. Tata was given the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Detroit Auto Journalists Association, it's a very prestigious award. In the speech, which is there on YouTube, you can check it out, he mentions this, that when I launched Indica, my friends started distancing themselves away from me, known as distancing yourself from failure. But then my team did a great job. We managed to establish a car brand, which was Indian, right? So I think Indica was a great experience for me. I worked on it for many years, which was from a boom bust boom kind of a story. So it's a long story, and it's quasi rational, quasi emotional. I'm calling it Indica V2. Is that very rational? I don't know, right? But you're sending an emotional signal because we knew that Tata inspired trust in consumers in India, and they want Tata to succeed. And how do you get people to relook at Indica? The idea was the Indica V2, right? And then of course, Santur was very different. It's about younger looking skin and the whole idea of mistaken identity, which is what continued for.
This was the mother who,
this mother who gets mistaken for a college student, and that theme has been working. When I started working on Santur, we were 1/5 the size of Lux, right? And then I think 2018 they became bigger than Lux. Can you imagine Indian brand beating a global brand? So I'm very happy that I worked on some of these campaigns for Indian companies and Indian brands.
I want to ask you about that a little bit. The Indians can do this kind of idea that the Indica brought to the car business. Was it used in the advertising? Like, did it really say Indian car?
We didn't ever, and the Tata also, we didn't ever want to tell people be Indian, buy Indian. It's kind of devaluing yourself, right? Which is why the name Indica was enough. It's spelled India, right? Indigo spelled India. There's no need to say be Indian, buy Indian. Be Indian, buy Indian actually cheapens your brand, which is why I think Ether is doing the smart thing. You're not saying be Indian, buy Indian. Ether is again a great story, right? So I don't think you should now go and tell people be Indian, buy Indian. People know that.
I also feel like if you are in the beginning of your brand, if you're doing a be Indian, buy Indian kind of campaign and it works, as an entrepreneur, you might feel a little unsure of whether your brand worked because the customer is buying an Indian product or because your product is actually good.
So I don't think be Indian, buy an Indian customer is not going to buy it, right? Be Indian, buy Indian is very good in forums like this, but it's not going to work.
Very interesting. In many fields, entrepreneurs have to continue to resell this idea of Indians can do this, like Mr. Tata had to do for automobiles. Let's just take medical devices. So much conversation around medical devices now, but so hard to convince Indian hospitals to buy Indian medical devices. And similarly in electronics and semiconductors. What would you say to an entrepreneur who's just tired and exhausted of telling people that we can do it here? I mean, from a marketing lens, how does this work out?
You can't feel tired and exhausted, right? You can't feel tired. You have to go back and do it, right? I mean, Tata had to give away 30,000 tires because the tires had worn out, but they had to do it, right? You have to do it, right? You can't feel tired, right? So, but you have to do things, you have to look at pricing as a weapon. Maybe you have to look at other forms of opinion leadership as a weapon. You've got to use all the possible weapons in marketing, right? Instead of just saying, we make good product. Okay, we make good product. So what? Why should I switch? Are you going to offer me something extra? Are you going to offer me price advantage? Are you going to offer me some bulk advantage? Are you going to offer me something extra? The customer is going to ask. Why should he or she switch from a international brand of switcher to your brand of switcher, or international brand of stent to your brand of stent? You got to prove it to them, and then offer value. Then they will move. Initially they will doubt, but even in medical devices, Avatar, India, there are huge opportunities, right, for selling value for money medical devices. Right? Why should you go only after the top hospital? There are enough, poor people who want something which they can afford.
Sure, actually, it's a very interesting point. I have read around that in Opthal, there are a lot of Indian devices, and also because in the Western countries, Opthal is a clinical hospital system, but in India, it's a small clinic outward. Like maybe you go with a truck to a village, or a bus to a village, and do a lot of operations and so on. So yeah, it makes sense.
So I think
you imagine the system.
They make their own lenses, right? This Dr. V's Arvind Eye Hospital, I think they make their own lenses, right? And I've been and spent time with Shankara Eye Foundation in Coimbatore. They do great work, right? And I think they again do this, right? They go to villages, do eye examination, and they move people in buses to their hospital, perform the surgery, keep them for a day, and then send them back.
They're talking about cataract, right?
Yeah, cataract, largely cataract. I think they were saying that within a couple of years, maybe we've already achieved that Tamil Nadu will achieve a steady state, which means anyone who has a cataract can get herself operated, right? So we're reaching a steady state in Tamil Nadu because of, Arvind Eye Hospital, Shankara Eye Foundation, Shankara Nethralaya, all of them doing great work. But rest of India, no, right? There is still a huge gap between. But the point is, in India, you can get a cataract done for virtually free if you're a poor person. And if you're a rich person, you can pick and pay 10,000 rupees. But you want to go to a 5-star ophthalmic surgeon, you pay a lakh of rupees. Right? There's a whole.
If you choose to do it at an optimal, auspicious time, you can pay a little.
Yeah, your family members can watch the thing being performed on a closed circuit TV. I've done that. So, that all costs money, right? It costs 1.5 lakh. But the same thing, a poor person gets it done free.
So you're saying that the entrepreneurs have to be more patient and have to try, keep trying.
Yeah, you have to keep trying. You have to target. You have to go after, do some experimenting, go after smaller hospitals, go after smaller catchment areas, get the word spreading from there. See, look back. We would have been a food, deficit country, right? We would have all died of starvation. But M.S. Swaminathan, God bless his soul, brought hybrid seeds into India, right? But did he go and give it to every farmer? No. He used the diffusion innovation curve to say that, look, in certain key villages, who are the key farmers, and get them to use this hybrid seed in a part of their farm. So they created what are called test plots. And then the whole village will come and watch how this wheat or this rice is growing like this, and the standard rice is growing like this. And then the next year, within 2 years, I think the whole country adopted hybrid seeds within 5 years.
What is the word you use? Diffusion something?
Diffusion of innovation.
Diffusion of innovation.
So done by, interestingly, original research done in Illinois by Everett Rogers. And the 2 products he did it on to prove it is, one was pharmaceuticals, which is tetracycline antibiotic, and the other was hybrid seeds, right? And M.S. Swaminathan brought that idea here and said, look, I can't go and give it to farmers. I need to create, test plots, get them to see it, believe it, and then start using it, right? Which is what happened. Same thing you have to do. Every
New category has
new
to do that.
category you have to do that.
Do you think that an Incredible India kind of campaign, the campaign that was done for Indian tourism, will help Indian tech overall? I'm asking the intent of my question here is there's some work that each company has to do to sort of sell its product, but there's like a thing that all companies or the entire category has to do together to prove its capability, right?
Given the fact that I've earned my living doing advertising, I would say all advertising will be helpful, right? So Incredible India done by, Amitabh Kant was a great campaign, right? And it has helped, bring tourists into India, but just a campaign is not enough, which is what, other things you try. You need to have airline connections, you need to have hotels, you need to have, tourist guides out there. You need to have a sense of cleanliness, right? It's amazing when you compare the cleanliness of a place like, Japan, place like India. We were in Japan a few years ago, and there was, I think, not an Indian tourist, but I think some maybe American tourist, European tourist was eating something and he dropped some plastic packet, on the floor. And I could see a shopkeeper running out, picking up the plastic packet and taking it back into her store. Because she says, I want the road to be clean, right? And if you go to Japan, there are no waste paper baskets anywhere. You're supposed to collect your waste and take it home, sort it, and put it out, right? So just by doing a campaign order, but the campaign will help. Campaign will help for many things. One, it will bring pride. It will also help you attract talent.
Yeah.
Right? Today, an Indian engineer may think it's more cool to work in a foreign multinational.
Oh, for sure. Ather office is in Bangalore, and so is BMW. And, like an auto engineer can choose.
Exactly. So why should the best auto engineer go to BMW? Or to Mercedes or to Boeing? Why not go to Ather? So it will make, I think it will have a lot of other beneficial effects.
Sure. But what you're saying is that structural change has to support marketing.
Absolutely. If the tragedy is if tech people keep looking down upon marketing, they're digging their own grave. Right? So it's up to them. They say marketing is all hot air, marketing is all gas. Then thank you very much, guys. You're going to be there.
Okay. That was great. I want to mention that you are at Sangam to promote your book. I have your book with me, so maybe we can spend some time on this book. This is your 9th book.
12th.
I'm sorry. This is your 12th book. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Okay, so let me hold the book to camera so that I do a bit of promotion of the book. So this is my 12th book. It's called Marketing Mixology, 4 Essential Skills for Marketing Success. As we've been talking, this book covers 4 topics: consumer understanding, brand building, negotiation and selling, and communication. 4 topics. Normally, most marketing books will talk about consumers, will talk about branding, but you'll very rarely find a marketing book talking about negotiation or talking about communication, which is why I wanted a slightly kind of catchy title. And so the original title I had was Marketing Masala Mix. But my publisher said it was too gimmicky. And so then I had to think of other names. And when you want, random ideas, what do you do these days? You go to ChatGPT and start putting prompt after prompt after prompt. And suddenly saw this word mixology. And then I say, yeah, that's nice. You'll put this together. And then I got the cover done, marketing mixology. So it's a light read. It's not a heavy book. It's 150 pages all of total. It's an easy introduction to people who are interested in marketing. And of course, if you're a veteran in marketing, you'll probably be able to read it in about 30-40 minutes and get a refresher of some of the old concepts. Right. So it's a light read. And thank you for picking it up, and thank you for allowing me to plug the book in this podcast.
I'm curious, Ambi, you have practiced marketing and advertising. you've taught it, and you've written about it. How are these things different?
They're all connected in some way. I wrote my first book and it came out in the year 2000. Now, I was that time teaching brand management in a business school in Mumbai, NMIMS. And those days, I'm talking of 96, 97, getting these so-called Harvard cases were very expensive. Each case used to cost $25 and, not all business schools could afford that. So I said, why should we use Harvard cases? Why can't I write my own cases? So from our own experience, I wrote a set of 12, 13 cases, Sundrop and Santur and Godrej Storewell and Tata Telecom, LML Vespa, I wrote about 14 cases and I used it for my teaching and students really enjoyed discussing these cases. And then a friend of mine, Arvind Rangaswamy, who's again IIT Madras Alumnus, my batch, I am Cal, he said, why don't you publish it? So I said, cases to Tata McGraw-Hill, and within, I think, a week, the publisher from Tata McGraw-Hill, the editor, commissioning editor, Deepa, was in my office. So we are interested. So done. So, publishing takes a long time. I gave them the text, I think in 98, 99, and then the book came out in 2000. So that's how it started. So working in advertising, teaching, writing, these are somewhat related. And the first book was called FCB Ulka Brand Building Advertising. So it also became a calling card for the agency. What do you guys do? We build brands. Okay, and here's a book, right? I wrote first volume, second volume I wrote with a colleague of mine, Kinjal Made. So we come out with 2 volumes of FCB Ulka Brand Building Advertising. In fact, when I gave the first book to my client at Tata Motors, I remember Rajiv Dubey telling me, Ambi, I hope in your next book, you'll be featuring our case. I said, of course, I will. And there are 2 cases in the second book, Tata Indica and Tata Indigo. So it kind of fed each other. I was doing something for the education sector, producing books with cases, real cases, which are taught in business schools. It helped to spread the word about our agency, right? And it kept me intellectually, occupied. So it was good. It was good for doing it.
Nice. You also host a podcast. I saw some episodes on Spotify. I think the publisher is IMW? No. I'm getting it wrong. I think the podcast is called Last Brand Standing.
Yeah. So Last Brand Standing was IBM podcast.
IBM. I'm so sorry.
IBM is a platform on which we did that. I did a series of 6 podcasts with Anupam Gupta, where I talked about brand battles. I've also done another series you might not have seen called Sponge Leadership Lessons, which is 27 episodes, which is based on my book called Sponge. Each chapter is discussed in that podcast. I was there along with Amit Doshi, who is the founder of IBM podcast. So every episode is 20 minutes and each is discussed one chapter of the book. So I've done 2 different podcasts. Yeah.
Nice. So cool that you've done so much around this topic. The reason we met 4 years back was to talk about IIT Madras's perception. And I'm interested because with your guidance, we started this AskIITM project, which now has, we have the same team works on the podcast, and it's come out. I think it's been a while, and I know I do a check-in with you once in a while. Do you think it's come out well? I'm curious how you feel.
I think hats off to Professor Mahesh for thinking of this, that we should do something to fix the image. And then, of course, when he asked me who could be their, communication partner, and at that time, I think you had contacted me.
Yeah.
I remembered your name and I said, look, who better than a IIT Madras alumnus? So that's how, the connection happened. And then you set up the, Ask IIM website and questions and all that. I think it's a great initiative. anything like this takes time, because you're not blowing up big money.
Yeah.
Right? If you blow up big money, the result you get in 5 years, you may achieve in 2 years or 3 years. Like, for example, IIT Madras today is, thanks to some of the efforts you've done, which is seen as a place to build, right? That, Aether is a shining example of that. And if we have 3 more like that, you're going to have a different story to tell it, right? So, which is...
And maybe it's sort of like the German thread to till now, maybe there's a single thread.
Maybe there is that, building is coming from some German gene which is there somewhere in the Guindy campus.
Because we spoke about Tata earlier, maybe that sort of that the fact that Ratan Tata wanted to build something from India which is very reliable, maybe that was also a little bit of Tata thread pulling through over the years, the way that the Tata company is built. And I'm just curious to know, there are these stories and legacy ideas that companies carry forward, but how much do consumers really care? And in the context of an education institute, how much does a student really care about these things when they join?
I'm involved with a business school. I'm an adjunct professor at SPJMR, part of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Mumbai. As far as students are concerned, there's a lot of crowd mentality, right? Why does a person take computer science? Because someone tells him it's very good. So I don't think you can blame them today. Like, for example, why did I take chemical engineering? It's a question which, you didn't ask me, right? Why did I take chemical engineering?
Why did you take chemical?
Exactly. Why? So here's the story. In fact, when I was finishing my 11th metric exam, I wanted to become a chartered accountant, right? And I was filling up my Loyola College PUC form those days. I was about to fill maths, I think, commerce and economics or something, right? So my dad said, what are you filling? I said, I'm going to do commerce and economics. I'm going to do BCom. I'm going to do CA. He said, no. You do IIT. So I said, what should I do? He said, you do math, physics, chemistry. So I put math, physics, chemistry. Went to Loyola. So there I met some other boys from Don Bosco. They said, what do you plan to do? He says, I want to do IIT. I said, okay, have you started doing the papers? I said, what do you mean papers? He says, yeah, there is an entrance exam. Yeah, but that's sometime in April, no? But you've not done anything. I said, no. Then they said, all the best, right? So that's how. Okay, that's how my introduction to JEE was so bad. And when I got my rank, I think it was 49 South Zone and 247 All India, something like that. And that time everyone said you should take electrical LC, which is known as equivalent of computer science today, right? But I just,
Logic circuit.
No, it was light current.
Oh, light
current and heavy current.
Oh, right.
So I didn't get LC. So my cousin's husband was a chemical engineer from AC Tech. So he had put it into my head, chemical engineering is good. So I could have got mechanical, I could have got electrical, heavy current. I said chemical. So I took chemical, right? I knew nothing. I think today kids are much better. They have some idea what they want to do. They are much better than what we were. What I was. Definitely you're a very different generation, but we had no clue. Today there is a lot more information, and I think my sister's 2 kids, they're very clear what they want to do. We'll do this, and then we'll do chip design, blah, blah, blah. And he's what? He's all of first year, he's just getting in. He said, I want to do electrical engineering, and I want to get to chip design. He's saying this, and he's all of 18 years of age or 17 years of age. 17 years, I had no clue what is chemical, what is, and the chemical, you went into chemical engineering, thermodynamics class, and you got completely blown. Differential calculus, this, that. Thermodynamics is, scary. But, we did it. So I think today, kids, okay, I'm saying there are different types of, right? So there's one group of children who know pretty much what they want to do.
But even there, I would say that there is some rationality, but a lot of it is based on what you hear from others and a lot of emotions attached to it and so on.
Absolutely. So my son did computer science, but he wanted to do computer science from the school, right? And he got computer science, fortunately. His first choice was IIT Bombay. He got that. But if he had not got, maybe he would have come to IIT, Madras. So I tried pushing him. IIT Madras very good, IIT Madras very good. But he took IIT Bombay.
Probably because you were from there.
Yeah, maybe because he thought, I should not go to where Papa's gone. But, that aside, I think today, of all the kids who come into IIT, probably 30% know exactly what they want.
And same for IIMs and same for B schools?
Similar for B school. B schools is a lot more gray, right? Lot more gray, right? If you go in, we did as a part of the board review at IIM Calcutta, we, Bain and Company did a pro bono project to find out who comes to IIM Cal, who rejects IIM Cal. If someone coming to IIM Cal, what has he or she rejected? So we did that little analysis and we found that of the people who come to IIM Cal, probably up to 400, maybe 40 got IIM Ahmedabad but didn't join. The other 360 did not get IIM Ahmedabad. Okay, 70, 80 got IIM Bangalore, didn't join. Okay, then of course a large number would have got IIM Kozhikode, IIM Indore. So we knew where the pecking order was. But IIMs, I think, are a lot more amorphous.
Okay.
I think IIT is a lot more clear because there is a clear demarcation of which department.
Yeah.
So you may say, I want computer science from IIT Bombay, but if I don't get IIT Bombay computer science, I'll go to IIT Madras.
Sure.
Or I'll go to IIT Delhi. I want mechanical engineering, IIT Madras. If I don't get IIT Madras mechanical engineering, I'll go to IIT Tirupati if I get mechanical engineering. So there is a complicated algorithm which is at work here.
Yeah.
Not all, some kids will purely go by rank. In this rank, what is the best I can get, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Some kids say, no, I want to do chemically.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore, I'll go to the best university
Which offers me.
me chemical.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting project for us to work on. I want to shift topics and last thing we're discussing for sure because we've already crossed an hour. The topic that stopped on everyone's mind, how has AI impacted marketing?
So that calls for a sip of water. I think yesterday I was reading an article in Harvard Business Review about AI in market research, right? So AI is going to be affecting all elements of marketing, whether it is consumer research, whether it is content marketing, etc. Early days, the belief was AI will be used for creating cheap content. You can, this interesting example which someone from E&Y shared in a forum. So they came out with a white paper, which was 100 pages long, about something, let's say AI in finance, for example, 100 pages long. And they said, look, we've got 30 senior leaders in EY. We want each of them to put out a post of 100 words on their LinkedIn and Twitter thing. And the post should all be from the white paper, but should not be repetitive. And they gave this assignment to an OpenAI tool, whatever, some AI tool they were using, and they got it. Right? Within a few minutes, they had 30 different chunks of thing, right, from AI, which was very clear, like quotable quotes, right? So content marketing was the first place where we thought it'll be useful, but it's going to be everywhere, right? I mean, we're going to, in the article on consumer research, which I was reading yesterday. Earlier days, when you had to do consumer interviews, right? You go with a pad, write down stuff, or you go with a dictaphone, record it, right? And then you come back, transcribe it, read it. Today, it all happens like that. So as a result, your consumer research is going to be speeded up. So things are going to. So what I think will happen is across the domain, like even films, I mean, ad films or content creation, you can get script ideas, 20 script ideas you can get like that. All of them will be bad, right? But there'll be some gem somewhere there which you can take and make it into a good script, right? So we've got to be using AI tools like we use PowerPoint and spreadsheets. When I started my journey in advertising, even right through IIT and IIM, one had never touched a computer because computer used to be behind a closed door.
Yeah.
And you sent those little cards, right?
Punch cards.
Punch cards, right? So you never touched it. So one had to learn how to use a PC, how to do spreadsheet, how to do PowerPoint, how to do Word. Today it's there everywhere. So I think all of us will have to learn how to use AI tools. Right?
Fair enough. I get what you're saying. I have one very specific question that I want to ask you. If it's accessible to everyone, and if the intent of brand building is to have a distinct story, then how can a brand use a generic AI composition to be distinctive? Won't that be accessible to everyone? And then everyone will have the same AI story.
Absolutely. That's where the human element comes in. You got to bring a human touch to it. What AI will give you is a standard story. But are you going to, I was at a talk and Vikas Swaroop, I think, who wrote the book, which became the
Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah. So he had launching a new book, which I'm reading. And he said, look, if I asked, AI to suggest an interesting murder, AI is still suggesting a dead body with a little bit of water lying there, which is the age-old idea, right? Which is a
Ice
dagger made out of ice.
Yeah.
So he said it's still there, but it'll improve. I mean, AI will become better and better, and we have to become better and better compared to AI. So you have to, it's a bit like you need to know how to use AI, but you got to know how to add value to what you get from AI, right? I mean, I got this title, Mixology word I got from AI. Then I called it marketing mixology. Then I told AI, please design a cover for me with 4 bottles, each bottle labeled this way. And AI gave me a cover, which looked very AI. So I used that cover, which was done by AI, to brief the cover artist here, Saurabh Garge, who's done this wonderful cover. I've taken the help. But can AI create this? No, can't. So it took human intervention to get here.
So marketing interns, yes. Marketing agents, not yet.
Yeah, the other day we were doing a call and we had used certain names, and I got the minutes, which was written by Zoom. We had mentioned Dr. Ramani in the conversation, and Zoom has assumed that Dr. Ramani had said something. Dr. Ramani was not in the meeting, but he said Dr. Ramani said this. Where did this come from? Right?
Fair enough.
So AI will make those mistakes. But so earlier, as a young intern, one's job was to take minutes. Now, one's job will be to correct the minutes being written by MST, right? Or Zoom. Right? Which means you will have to listen carefully and you have to take some points, and then when the AI generated minutes come, you should be able to correct it.
So now what I do on calls is, because I know that the transcription will happen, at some point I'll stop everyone and say, okay, now for the AI, let me give you a summary of what's happened so far. And I will say it out so that AI picks that part out.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you hacked it, right? Yeah. So that's a hack, which you have to do. So people are not doing it as yet.
Yeah. This is great. Thank you so much, and grateful that you gave us the time. And I'll be there at your book launch tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amritash, for inviting me, and you and your team. I think you're doing great work for IIT Madras. Please continue to do the great work. Build that Ask, IIT website, and I'm sure, it's a long journey, and I think you're on the right path. So all the very best, and thank you once again for inviting me onto your podcast.
Thanks, Ambi. Next week, we'll be back on campus for this episode. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you.